Folks, this is Pete from Pete's Tackle here, and I've brought in a good friend of mine and pro staff, Levi Ployhar. This is Levi. I'll let you give you a little bit. Let him give you a little bit of his bass fishing background and fishing background, and then I will start asking him a few questions.
Yeah, I'm Levi Ployhar. I've been fishing in the Flathead for, oh gosh, I suppose the better part of 10 years. Grew up in the Ronan-Polson area to start with, and have been bass fishing and fishing for all different species for years and years and years. Better part of 20-something years, I guess. And we're over here at Pete's Tackle, and we're going to talk a little bit about crankbaits and what to use and what time of year to use different colors and different selections and what I like to use, and a little bit about setups, rods, reels, line, stuff like that.
Maybe a little bit on how you've done on tournaments with them.
Yep, and then there's been tournaments on the river, on Echo Lake, where I have only thrown a square bill, which would be one of these, or one of these deeper divers, just strictly the whole time, and caught 18 to 20 pounds of fish. On my 5 best fish would be around that. So they can be really killer. It's all about finding the right color, the clarity of the water, and all those things really make a difference as far as catching them. Finding them is a different story, but this is a great search bait as well. I mean, you can cover a lot of water.
Yeah.
I
love them for that.
Exactly. And the nice thing about a square bill, it does have a pretty wide wobble a lot of times, which is fine when the fish are in the springtime and they're getting aggressive, water's starting to warm up. These square bills work really well in like a shallower water where there's weeds or even logs or anything like that, because they just go right over the top of that stuff and they don't get hung up like one of these, a little bit deeper diving ones would. With the bill shape of this one is going to catch a little bit more in that type of water. So these square bills, these 1.5s, these 2.5s, awesome square bills. By the way, these are all hand painted by Pete himself. Yeah, excellent job.
I love doing it.
And we're excited about getting out and fishing some of these newer colors. I know you have this year some of these newer ones, which I'm thrilled and excited about.
This one right here, this craw here, it's a spring craw with a red belly. That's actually Levi's pick for colors, and that's what I painted it up. That's how he wanted it painted, and I said that's what it will be.
Yep.
So,
and that's going to be a killer in a clear water environment.
Yes.
You're not going to want to go out, say in the springtime in the river or in anywhere where there's some runoff going on and fish something like this. The fish just aren't going to see it. But lakes and stuff like that in the spring, Echo Lake, some of these lakes that are going to have ice coming off them soon, because we're in April right now, this is going to be killer. I mean, they're going to be able to see that thing. It looks natural, it looks great. If you're out in dirty water, fishing where it's stained or something like that, and you're just trying to get their attention, you're going to want to run these bright colors, these orange and chartreuse. This bait in particular has won me a tournament on the river with my buddy Ben.
That was what, 2 years ago?
2 years ago. We took first fishing just that lure there. And they're just these work really well for that type of water. You want to go when the water's stained, the water's murky and muddy. You want to go with those bright chartreuse colors.
What about when it's starting to clear up, the waters are clearing up and stuff like that? What do you go to?
Even when they get clear, they start to clear up, I like to throw this Fire Tiger type bait. If it's not crystal clear, even I've even caught them in Echo a lot of times on these when the water's just kind of turned a little bit, not super dirty, but sort of murky, I love
a little bit brackish.
Yeah, a little brackish. This bait here is kind of a go all around great color, just because it's got some of that natural. You get some of that natural color with the stripes and then you get that kind of that standout chartreuse color on the bottom. Kind of gives you the best of both worlds with that one. But as the water,
I've actually done really well on that one.
yeah, and then as the water clears up, you know, you want to start to go to these natural colors like this gorgeous rainbow, or you know, this crappie pattern here, and this 2.5, you know, where they're going to get a better look at your bait and see what you're throwing, what you're running. Sometimes a lot of then these baits here aren't going to work as well, I find. You know,
I found that too.
Could be different in different types of water, but you just never know. I just feel more confident throwing a natural color crankbait in a more clear water lake.
Clear water.
Yeah. So, and then these here, I mean, these are going to be kind of more your later in the year or deep ledge baits. These are a pretty tight wobble.
Very tight.
Yeah, pretty subtle, which is really good when the water starts warming up. I think you'll be able to catch these before the spawn. I think you'll be able to catch a lot of fish before the spawn with these.
Oh yeah.
I really do. But I think these are going to be key after, like a
After
post spawn.
Post spawn.
Yep. These little baits, man, you can get down and you can fish those ledges. You know, you can fish, you know, that deeper water where they're going to start moving out of that shallow into that deeper water.
And when they're coming off the spawn and they're wanting to feed up. And
Yep. You're going to have to use these more subtle baits. Well, you don't have to, but I find they work better for me personally. So, those are great baits for that type of thing. But I don't know, you have any other questions or...
what do you look how do I say this, but when you grab a bait off the shelf, or you come into me like a custom painter, what are you looking for off our walls? Something different, or...
I like to throw something different. There's so many... That's what I like about these baits here, is these fish don't see these every day.
Right.
And I think it does make a difference. I mean, if you got, you know, however many guys out there every weekend fishing Echo Lake or River or any of these other lakes that have bass in them, and they're throwing, you know, these baits that they just see over and over and over again, I like to grab something out that's like this, that's different, you know. And it's nice with you because you're painting baits that are natural to our environment, you know, like a rainbow trout and a crappie and a sunfish and these colors.
Those come about through you guys as fishermen walking in the door and, hey, I'd like to see something like this. We can't find it on the shelf, or if it is on the shelves, it's not the right size, or so and so.
Yeah.
Where us custom guys, we can get stuff in and kind of play with it a little bit to tweak it to the fisherman's need.
Yeah.
And usually if one fisherman's doing good on it, most guys are going to do fairly well on it. You know, so, but then again, we have to go back to the abilities of each fisherman.
Yep. And I mean, these fish get finicky. I mean, they do. I mean, there's times you can go out there and you can just hammer them on just about any crankbait you want to throw. And then there's times you go out there and it's like you find a crankbait they like.
Right.
And you can nail them. It's just one after another after another after another. And it gets pretty exciting when you can find something like that. So that's why it's kind of nice to have a variety of these baits that we can grab, pick up, and try. And I get confidence in stuff that I see that's natural to our environment. You know, I see rainbow trout, I see crappie, I see these, you know, these pumpkin seeds, I see these crawdads, you know, with these colors that you can bring into these baits. It just gives me confidence when I'm throwing those.
Oh yeah,
So,
like this one here.
Yep.
You go out on our lakes in the spring, and the crawfish are basically that color.
That's the blue you'll
The
see
blue,
on those
the
claws.
blue, not a dark blue or
Yep.
anything, but just
Yep.
a sky blue, a Mediterranean blue, or whatever.
Yep. And you don't, and nobody's making these.
No,
you know,
you
this
don't
is a
find
custom paint that you're not going to find anywhere else. And I think fish get used to seeing something, and they're just like, yeah, we know what that is.
Well, local lakes, that happens
Yeah,
a lot
there's-
because they see the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And that makes the fishermen have to work harder and think harder
Yeah.
and go to their local sporting goods store and switch and change and do all these different things to the bait to get it to fit the needs that they're going to be needing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
with that, on the colors and stuff, can you talk to us a little bit about bait cast rods and stuff for those guys that don't know too much about bait casters, how to set them up for crankbaits or worms